We don't allow beggars inside this bank. Leave now. Let's go, ma'am. What unfolded after this moment would end careers, rattle an entire institution, and prove that the person holding the most power isn't always the one you expect. Quick pause. Where in the world are you tuning in from right now? I'm recording this from my small home studio, and it never fails to amaze me that someone in the US, Jamaica, South Africa, or even a quiet town in Texas could all be hearing Dorothy's story at the same moment. Drop your location below. I read every one, and it truly makes my day. I chose this story because it reminds me that every face hides a world of experiences. And Dorothy, well, she's about to deliver some very costly lessons about making assumptions. Now picture this, a marble-lined lobby, exactly 1 p.m. polished floors, glittering chandeliers, the scent of leather mixed with fresh coffee. A fragile elderly woman pushed through the towering glass doors of Pinnacle Trust Bank on Fifth Avenue. Her faded floral dress whispered with movement. A stretched cardigan drooped over her hunched frame. A yellowed envelope shook in her arthritic hands. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. Quiet whispers spread. Her cane tapped against the stone floor with every labored step. Her name was Dorothy Henderson. Nobody in that grand marble hall knew it yet, but soon, they would. They would. She wasn't alone. What followed was captured on every security camera and later circulated across every social platform. Dorothy entered first, but this was a new Dorothy altogether. Dressed in a navy designer suit, her silver hair styled flawlessly at the Pierre salon, she carried herself with the assured grace of someone who had built empires. Walking behind her was Sarah Chin, senior partner at Morrison & Associates, briefcase in hand, inside, the power to end careers. The transformation was so complete that many employees failed to recognize the woman they had dismissed the day before. But Victoria Sterling did. The color drained from her face like water slipping through a cracked vessel. Brandon looked on, puzzled, as this dignified woman approached his desk. Realization struck, and his complexion turned pale as snow. "Good morning, Brandon." Dorothy's tone carried the authority of decades in boardrooms. "It's time to finish our discussion." The envelope he had ignored yesterday was now evidence in a discrimination case. Sarah Chin set down a stack of legal documents on Brandon's polished counter. They landed with a crash of thunder in the hushed lobby. "Mr. Brandon Walsh, you are hereby dismissed from Pinnacle Trust Bank, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." The entire bank froze. Calls stopped. Fingers lifted from keyboards. Brandon's voice cracked with panic. "You can't. Who even are you people?" Dorothy stepped closer, her voice echoing through the grand lobby. "I am Dorothy Henderson. I established this bank 37 years ago with one guiding rule: treat every person with respect. I hold 64% of its shares. And yes, Mr. Walsh, I absolutely have the authority to end your employment." Gasps bounced off the marble walls like gunfire. Victoria Sterling burst out of her office, her confidence shattering like glass dropped on stone. "Mrs. Henderson, I'm so sorry. If I had realized, I never would have." "Enough." Dorothy's voice sliced through the air. "That's exactly the issue, Miss Sterling. You know how to show respect, but you decided not to. Not because you failed to recognize me, but because you judged me as unworthy. This moment would be studied in business schools for years to come." Sarah Chin handed Victoria an envelope. "Miss Sterling, your management role is terminated. However, Mrs. Henderson is offering you a position in community outreach, visiting retirement centers to ensure every demographic is treated with dignity. A demotion wrapped in mercy." Dorothy then turned to the silent lobby. "Michelle Rodriguez. Please step forward." Michelle walked on trembling legs, certain she was in trouble for helping. "Michelle," Dorothy's tone softened with warmth, "yesterday you alone treated a customer with kindness. You saw a person, not a number. That tells me all I need to know about your character. Sarah Chin offered Michelle an envelope. Congratulations. You are now the branch manager of Pinnacle Trust Bank. Effective immediately. Compassion had just been promoted to leadership. Dorothy addressed the room, her voice backed by 4 decades of authority. This institution was built on one value, dignity for all. Yesterday, many of you failed that standard. Starting today, under Michelle's guidance, we restore what service truly means. She moved toward the exit, then paused. I'll be making unannounced visits monthly. Treat each client as if they might own this bank, because sometimes, they do. Dorothy and Sarah Chin walked out the same doors where, just a day earlier, Dorothy had been dismissed as insignificant. Michelle stood in her new office, watching staff who had just learned the costliest lesson of their careers. Within hours, the story exploded online. #Hidden bank owner trended worldwide. The video of Dorothy's reveal hit 50 million views in 3 days. Major networks covered it everywhere. Harvard Business School included this case in lessons on customer care and hidden bias. But the real transformation took place in that marble lobby, where every staff member realized that real influence isn't about clothing labels or bank accounts. It's about how you treat others when you believe no one important is paying attention. Dorothy Henderson proved that someone significant is always paying attention. You just don't know who it might be. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. Think back to the last time someone judged you based on how you looked. How did that moment feel? What would you have said if you had the power? Share your story in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated simply for your appearance? What's the most surprising, don't judge a book by its cover, moment you've ever seen? And if you could give one piece of advice to the Brandons and Victorias of the world, what would it be? If this story connected with you. If you've ever felt ignored, dismissed, or undervalued, hit the like button and pass it along to someone who needs to be reminded of their own strength. Because every Dorothy Henderson deserves recognition, respect, and a voice. What story should I cover next? Tell me below.